Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to another Flycast Partners webinar. My name is Rich Longo, and I'll be your host for today's presentation. And today's webinar is a little different from what we've normally done. It's Adoption Journey to Modern IT Operations, and we are pleased to have David Roth of OpsRamp joining us, along with Bobby McCullough of Flycast Partners. And David is the solutions marketing and sales enablement expert with well over 20 years of experience building and promoting brands, leading product go-to-market strategies, and empowering sales organizations to sell customer value. Bobby has been in the IT industry for well over 20 some years. We won't go there. We don't want to put his age out there. And he has been active in many aspects of IT, from ITSM, ITM, and ITOM. Before we get started, David and Bobby, let me introduce our organization here. Flycast Partners is here to deliver a seriously amazing IT experience, founded and staffed by personnel that have many years of experience in IT space. We took the best ideas from these collective experiences and added the best components necessary to grow and become a leading value-added reseller in the North American IT market. We offer best-in-class implementation services and training in IT service management, IT asset management, IT operations management, workload automation, and enterprise service management spaces using ITIL best practice. Our professional services can easily scale up or down to meet the IT needs of any customer, regardless of your size, complexity, or budgetary restrictions. We offer implementation services both on-site and remote, as well as training to help reinforce your organization's long-term IT success. Our ongoing remote administration support service offerings will enable you to focus on those normal day-to-day operations, saving you both precious time and money. So feel free, reach out to us, 844-FLYCAST, that's 844-359-2278, or visit our website. Chat with one of our live IT experts Monday through Friday. They'll be happy to talk to you during normal business hours, and poke around on our website a little bit. Take a look at some white papers, data sheets, some of the technologies that we offer here at Flycast. Share some of the upcoming webinars with some of your coworkers and invite them to attend with you. Attend some of the live events that we may have out there. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get this presentation started and let David and Bobby get going here.
Thank you, Rich, very much. Welcome, everybody. This is Bobby McCullough. As Rich said, today we're going to talk about the adoption journey to modern IT operations. You can move the slide for us. So today we're going to cover assessing the current state of your ITOps maturity, how you can assess it, and maybe compare yourself to other organizations. The end goal for optimizing efficiency and enabling innovation, best practices so that you can mature your ITOps practice, and a recommended adoption journey as well, so we can tell you how you can get there from where you are today. Go ahead and take us to the next slide, Rich. So what seems to be the issue? What's going on today in IT operations? So the source of this information is from DEJ Research, a study they did, the roadmap to becoming a top performing organization in managing IT operations. And basically the thrust of that article was things began changing in about 2016. You can see from the graph on the left that around that time, the amount of change in IT environments began increasing at an increasing rate. And along that same time, the having the right tools for managing those operations, it seemed to be decreasing. Organizations really didn't have the tools that they were needing. So what was happening? Why was there change long about 2016? Well, around 2016 is really when the popularity for sort of alternatives IT or abstract IT became available or widely used. Virtual environments were pretty widespread by then. You had Kubernetes and Dockers, container, and just other technologies like that really promoted lots of change within the IT environment. And so how did this express itself? Well, you can look at the stats there. 41% of operations now, IT operations have redefined their strategies over the last 18 months. So they're having to respond to it. It's not just sitting back and letting the change occur. That change is promoting nearly 3 times the number of alerts and events because IT is changing. It's sort of the my term for it is sort of the Amazon effect. IT customers in a business setting are beginning to have expectations around their work IT the same way that they have around their personal IT. So they go to Amazon, they have a particular experience there. They expect that same kind of experience when they're at work and working in their environment. So those expectations have increased, and that's so organizations are not only forced to not only look at performance, but also to look at how the customer feels about that performance. And you can see here from that stat, more and more organizations are taking a look at that. So again, what are the key drivers? Higher customer expectations. That's all from that Amazon effect, where you've got to have it better, faster, smoother everywhere. Organizations have a need to launch applications faster because you're having to respond faster. There's mobile environments now, mobile applications, and so there's a great need for launching those faster. Creating a business value from a technology. So IT previously has been a cost center, and it's just something that impacts the bottom line from the cost perspective. Now IT, because of the change that's going on in IT, as well as the increase in customer expectations over their experience, organizations are having to look at the value that their IT departments and deployments are providing. So they're no longer a cost center; they're really sort of a value center now within your organization. But we already talked about volume and velocity of the data is increasing, so organizations are having to get tools to respond to that. And again, that's all coming from those deployments from new types of architectures and infrastructure. So Rich, I think next we've got a poll.
We sure do, and we're putting that up for you right now. What are your key drivers?
So what are your key drivers for modernizing your IT operations? So higher customer expectations for experience, the need to launch new applications faster, maybe a need to create business value, as we talked about, becoming a value center, moving away from a cost center. Volume and velocity of those data and events that you have to process. Are you overwhelmed? Have you turned off some data and events because of the volume and velocity that's coming in? It's just too much to handle. You can't process it.
Wow,
who's deploying?
This seems overwhelming. 100% need to create business value. Everybody's saying the same thing.
Great.
Excellent.
Okay, let's go to our next slide.
Yeah, next one. Yeah, then that need to create business value is always a quest, and it's always going to be, because we're always trying to create that improved value for the business and demonstrate the ITOps team's value to the bottom line. So what I wanted to get into right now is this nice maturity model that was recently published from 451 Research. I feel it does a really good job of identifying the progression of maturing ITOps functions, as well as the impact of not maturing. So we know that the ITOps function within enterprises is going through a tumultuous time. There's a lack of best practices to reference. There's a lack of commonalities across organizations to replicate best practices. And then with the steep acceleration of change in IT environments that Bobby touched on, monitoring and incident response can't be an afterthought with the maturity of your IT organization. Given the potential risk of business from the potential risks of poor performance of application and services, companies need to be prescriptive about ITOps as they adopt new cloud-native technologies, like what Bobby mentioned with containers and services, or microservices and serverless, as well as new deployment and organizational approaches like Agile and DevOps. If IT operations isn't factored into the conversation, companies can struggle with a real lack of visibility and control and governance of their IT operation, or of their IT ecosystem. So let's start with that traditional section all the way to the left. And what I want to do is kind of describe kind of how 451 defines these, because I think it's a really good model in terms of assessing where your organization might be within your ITOps maturity. And by knowing where you are today, you're better able to target where you want to be and the progression of how you're going to get there. So let's start with the traditional stage. In this stage, there are separate development and operations teams. ITOps teams are largely adhere to ITIL approaches. Team members of specializations, they're responsible for discrete type of infrastructure like storage, servers, networking, and monitoring and managing those specific resources. They remediate the problems that occur, and this is more of a reactive state rather than that proactive state where we all want to be. And there are development teams, but these teams are standalone groups responsible for writing code. They only really get involved in the performance problems when the finger's pointed at them from the ITOps team saying your code is to blame. And within this stage, there's relatively little expansion in the in tool sets. However, root cause analysis can prove very difficult because monitoring functions and tools, they're disparate and they're not integrated together. So these are more of your legacy tools and legacy environments. And as a precaution, organizations in this traditional stage seldomly push out application updates in fear of unexpected problems, which obviously can stymie innovation and competitiveness within the marketplace. Within the next maturing stage, in an effort to deliver innovations faster, maturing organizations are driven by the adoption of new technologies and application architectures and practices. And you have DevOps groups emerging who are responsible for developing and operating a particular application. They start using microservices architecture, allowing them to quickly iterate and employ agile development practices. And the operation function is split between the DevOps team and a traditional central ITOps team. While DevOps teams are largely responsible for the performance of the application they developed, the application relies on legacy workloads like databases that run on-prem. And these legacy workloads continue to be monitored or managed by the ITOps team. So the challenge is with these disparate functions and tools could be things like tool sprawl. So you've got the DevOps team using their own tools, the ITOps team using their own tools, and you could even have redundant vendors and agreements with, or redundant agreements with the same vendors, same tool providers. And with that, you have multiple people managing multiple relationships within the same vendors. That causes inefficiencies. And also with tool sprawl, you get disconnected monitoring tools, and you don't have that integration of data, and you lose the ability to correlate the incident data. And so with multiple tools, you've also got poor visibility, inability to really identify and quickly identify the root cause of incidents. And the impact, and that could cause impact on the application performance, which again, application performance drives end user experience. So that could result in a poor end user experience. And then in the modern stage, you see to the right a bit, you've got your centrally transitioning monitoring and incident response to the ITOps team. So there's a shift from that disparate model with DevOps and ITOps managing their own tools to making the management of monitoring and management tools responsible in the realm of ITOps. So the ITOps functions as a monitoring tool service provider, and sometimes even called an observability team. They provide the tools as a service to the DevOps team, and they advise as to best practices to use and what data to collect and analyze, and they enforce the compliance of this. And this drives efficiencies for managing tool vendor relationships. It ensures visibility into the user experience, and also the ITOps teams can better manage and optimize cloud spend. And the observability.
David, what is this?
Sorry?
I'm sorry, David. What does this RE stand for?
Software reliability engineer. And I'm glad you asked that, because I was just about to get into that. So software reliability engineers oftentimes live within the ITOps team, or the newly named observability team. And they're responsible for ensuring shared infrastructure and systems are performing as expected. The SREs handle the monitoring and remediation of the systems, and they regularly analyze incident response and process and looking for constant improvement within that process. And they also set the service level objectives, like latency goals, and they shift resources accordingly to adhere to those SLOs, those service level agreements. So the number of tools in this stage declines with the centralization and management of the monitoring tools in a central location. And the tools leverage AI and machine learning technologies to identify anomalies, pinpointing root cause, and recommendation remediation. So they're getting more sophisticated, obviously, in the modern, or we're getting sophisticated in the modern. And then if we look at future, now there's multiple vendors in the ITOps vendors in the marketplace, but there's a select few getting to that future stage, or pushing towards that, and driving innovation in that arena. The future stage really focuses on automation, and automation plays a critical role in this stage. And as you'll see, observability teams with SREs focused on skilling the AI and machine learning capabilities to ensure the monitoring tools accurately drive the automations as prescribed. As automation increasingly becomes more important and possible with future developments, we could see the introduction of perhaps an automation engineer role within a future state. So what's important in this future stage will be to understand the relationship between software performance and business metrics. And an example might be executive dashboards. So being able to customize dashboards or give role-based permissions into the visibility and the performance and health of the environment to allow different detailed views appropriate for the role viewing them. Perhaps an executive dashboard could provide the service performance and how it impacts revenue and other KPIs. So tools at this stage primarily function, or the primary function of monitoring tools in the future stage is to inform automations to repair performance problems before and as they happen. We're getting closer to that proactive stage, and it becoming a possibility. So you can flip to that next slide.
David, is there any way to skip one of these levels, maybe to jumpstart an organization's maturity model?
It's a great question, Bobby. And this, and I'll say there certainly is with the right partnerships and just advisement in terms of how to adopt certain tools. There's certainly possibility to jump from a traditional and maturing stage to a modern and future stage, and that's actually referenced in that 451 report as well, with the right partnerships. And this is actually an example of OpsRamp's customer adoption path. We recognize that there's a whole lot of that platforms like OpsRamp have a plethora of features and functionality and capabilities. Now, with adopting a platform, you're adopting a I mean, you're adjusting your process. Your team's skill sets might need to be refined in specific ways. But in all, you're simplifying their workload, not having to jump from tool to tool to monitor and manage adequately. So what we've done is we've kind of simplified the path of adoption to really enable our customers to adopt these features and functionality adequately to drive business value. So in that proficient stage, we're driving visibility across your hybrid landscape. You're integrating with existing tools, your ITSM tools, your APM tools, and you're centralizing incident and event alerts within reporting and role-based dashboards for driving that efficiency, the transparency, and improved governance and visibility. And you can measure, it's always important to measure at each stage, are we achieving this? Are we successful here? Are we ready to progress to the next stage? So some KPIs that you can measure is the percent of coverage. Are you seeing your entire environment out there across your hybrid landscape? And then cost reduction. How are we continuing to drive down cost while increasing value? And then as you move to that advanced stage, you're getting more mature. You're decreasing operations alerts, incidents, tickets, and mean time to detect and resolve incidents. With the adoption of functionalities like alert notifications, third-party alerts or alerts from third-party tools, alert escalation, and alert correlation being to correlate alerts to more quickly identify root cause of incident, and therefore also decreasing the number of alert notifications being sent. And then runbook automation. How are you continuing to update and refine that runbook? Some KPIs that can be measured at this stage are the number of operations incidents that are being triggered. Are we governing that environment well? Is it running healthy? The number of alerts per operations incidents, mean time to detect, mean time to resolve, and then the reduction in tickets being triggered or submitted. And then in the future ops stage, we're bringing customers to with our newer and more intelligent capabilities like process workflow, predictive analytics, AI and machine learning, and automated remediation capabilities, and then further refined role-based dashboards that we were talking about in that previous 451 slide. KPIs that you can measure in this stage is how much of that process are you automating, because automation is relative to efficiency and refining those processes. And then the number of issues prevented. So as you're automating, as your environment is getting more sophisticated, you're able to then be more proactive by preventing those issues from actually occurring with automation capabilities and so forth. So you can flip to the next slide. Oh, I think we had a poll question in there. Did we not? There we go. So real quick, and referencing back to that 451 model, I'd love to hear from you guys in terms of where you think you are in your ITOps maturity model. Are you traditional with an operations team and a development team that might be separate from one another using separate tools? Are you maturing? You have a DevOps team now responsible for kind of crossing the chasm into operations and your operations team, or are you modern with a service reliability engineer, observability engineers, and DevOps, or in future state? So leveraging automation.
Folks, don't be shy. Go ahead and let us know what's going on in your neck of the woods. So go ahead and if you select the appropriate one for our poll and see how you are compared to the rest of your peers.
All right, we're not moving on until you got select.
I know, it's weird.
We can move on, Rich. I think majority of folks are in that maturing stage, and
Okay.
maybe have one foot in that traditional stage as well, and really wanting to get to that modern stage. So being able to leap stages from traditional to say modern, like Bobby asked, that's just so powerful for organizations. So we just wanted to, well, I want to do a time check real quick. Okay, so real quick in terms of steps or recommendations for how to get started. First, it's really addressing your DevOps practice. So is it a development team separate from your ITOps team? And is there collaboration there or not? So refining that DevOps practice and ensuring there are intersects between ITOps and DevOps. And then developing those integrated processes, refining the roles, and defining service level objectives in terms of how ITOps may service the DevOps team. And then obviously integrating data about microservices. So if you're using microservices today, we need to get some adequate monitoring management in for those microservices and other cloud native technologies. So Rich, you can actually jump to that next slide.
Why don't you let me take this one, David?
Yeah, sounds good.
So moving to service centricity, this really gets to what I was mentioning earlier about changing your IT organization from a cost center to a value center. You're going to move away from managing tools, siloed tools where different elements of your organization have their tool for their part that they manage. You're going to move away from that and move toward a complete management of business services. So maybe it's the payroll service that you provide to HR. Maybe it's the commercial website service that you provide to marketing within your organization. You're going to have an observability team that keeps an eye on those things, that has responsibility for the overall performance of that service that you're providing. It's not just does the database server have enough disk space and have enough processor power. All that stuff comes together for a single unified view of the service that's being provided. You're going to look at your organizational model, how you're tackling these processes and the tools that you're using within those processes. And you can see from some of the numbers from that DEJ research study there, where what organizations are thinking about with regard to providing business value. Rich, you can move to the next slide.
Thanks, Bobby. And the last recommendation, I mean, these are 3 recommendations, so there's obviously a lot of steps involved, but in terms of top line, what to address first and what to keep involved in the conversation. Last one to mention is centralizing with a comprehensive ITOps platform. Now, with this, you're evolving your IT operations to meet the needs of the business by providing the visibility and the monitoring, and efficiency and the governance across your IT operations landscape. Now, when taking a look at different types of platforms, 451 or DEJ defines different types of platforms as Platform 1.0, which might be a product that delivers several discrete integrated functions, solving problems, helping maturing operations environments, help teams collaborate better when troubleshooting. So more collaboration. And then IT operations analytics 2.0 would be that next stage. You're able to analyze operations data from across your IT environment. You can still choose best of breed monitoring tools in specific areas, but you have that centralized platform over top aggregating monitoring and management alerts and health performance. And it provides you complete visibility of that comprehensive IT environment. And then in programmable platform, you've got open SDKs and APIs, allowing for flexible application build, deploy, and integration within that monitoring platform. So it's very adaptive. Rich, you can jump to that next slide. Now, when we're talking about modernizing your IT operations with a comprehensive platform. We're referring to the capability of monitoring and managing across your entire hybrid landscape. So hybrid being a disparate environments. You're in multiple clouds, you're on-prem, or within a co-location facility. You've got multiple servers, storage, network, virtualization environments to manage, and different applications and websites and containers within those environments. And so you need that comprehensive view and comprehensive monitoring and management across that landscape. Flip next one. Now, OpsRamp delivers that unified platform that we're all after for everything from discovery through remediation. Now, with hybrid discovery and monitoring, you get the complete picture to see what you have across your entire distributed ecosystem. You're integrating incident and event alerts within one central dashboard from complete visibility of service health, or for complete visibility of your service health. You're understanding the relationships and dependencies between resources with service and topology mapping. You've got policy-based monitoring and synthetic monitoring of those web applications. And then in event and incident management, we deliver alert suppression and deduplication, cutting down on those repetitive alerts that are not informative, that are not actually alerts, deduplicating alerts, and alert correlation for faster identification of root cause of incidents. And also within our event and incident management capabilities, we've got intelligent alert routing. So if an alert gets triggered, it gets sent to the correct subject matter expert to resolve it, cutting through any red tape, remediating or mediating service desks to that right expert to remediate it as quickly as possible. And then we deliver remediation and automation within the OpsRamp platform. Automated runbook management, automated remediation with observe mode, our machine learning and artificial intelligence capabilities allow us to detect and recommend or observe incidents and recommend the remediation of those incidents. And then also patch deployment, secure remote access, and then audit recordings. So to be able to go back, record the adjustments to the infrastructure environment, be able to go back and reference that to identify any best practices or where something may have fallen through. Rich, you can click again. So what OpsRamp delivers is that unified digital operations command center, where we integrate with and even eliminate some of your existing tools. So integrate via agent and agentless. We deliver multi-tenancy, providing you the capability to separate environments, say business services. So if you're managing the human resources department, ensuring the uptime and availability of those applications, they can be in one partition and versus the marketing team or the sales team or operations. This is especially valuable for managed service providers in managing end customer environments, being able to partition environments, have separate views to view the health and monitor the health and performance of those environments. And then role-based access for different personnel with different expertise, and also dashboards that for reporting, or customizable dashboards for reporting the service health of the environment. You can click. Ultimately, what we're after and what the OpsRamp platform delivers is simplified resource visibility, faster time to detect and resolve. We deliver actionable intelligence, and that's so much more important than just intelligence. Actionable intelligence and automation. Tool consolidation for driving efficiency and saving cost. Ultimately delivering you that digital operations command center to centralize and drive efficiency and enable innovation within your organization. You can click. So with OpsRamp, we like to say that we're delivering a new definition to control control for your IT operations. So it's not that the old control where IT operations is the gatekeeper of new innovation and technologies being delivered, and they're the organization of no. We're delivering control to enable innovation, to enable agile innovation, yet in a governed manner. Unified monitoring and management across your distributed infrastructure, and an adaptive environment that's data-driven and scalable to deliver as your business grows, with role-based and automation-oriented customer-centric functionalities. You can jump to the next slide. So with this, there's oftentimes quite a bit of I don't know if you'd call it intimidation, but it's kind of like, where to start? Where do I start? How do I determine if this is the right solution for me? As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, IT operations, functionalities, and processes need to be included within the conversation up front as you're maturing, and IT operations needs to enable that innovation and maturity. So first step, what we've seen successful with a lot of our buyers is assisting them with these 3 workshops. Organizational assessment, where we identify the teams within the organization, their roles, practices, and their skill sets, because that's important, getting in the day-to-day, and determining where those gaps are and how we get to that next stage in that maturity model. And then we do a tool assessment. So we understand what tools and what features of those tools the teams are using, because oftentimes teams only use, me in my day-to-day as well in marketing. I use 30% probably of the functionality of the tools that I have available to me. So oftentimes it's the same with IT operations, although to a much more detailed level of sophistication. So tool assessment, where we identify what tools you're using for what functions, and what those gaps are in order to get you to that next stage in the maturity model. And we do an ROI assessment to determine where you are today, because it needs to meet the business demand. So in terms of cost and how you're driving efficiency, because that's real cost as well. And team personnel, how many people you have staffed and how you're able to automate, or how you will be able to automate and perhaps streamline efficiencies and dedicate those people to the next to drive value to your business, and obviously cost. So how are we able to help consolidate your existing tool sets to drive down cost? So first step in your journey is to contact Flycast and get engaged with them to help, and they'll help you. The Flycast team will help you understand your opportunities by identifying your challenges, and then they'll partner with OpsRamp, and we can run you through these workshops. And it seems like a multi-day, very complex step, but obviously they can be customized and simplified. So Rich, I think that might be our last slide.
It looks like it. And Bobby and David, I want to thank you for a great presentation. I do not see any questions in our audience. However, I will say that our audience must have been talking to each other, because our audience increased multiple times. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Now, should you have any questions about anything that was covered in today's webinar, or you're interested in a possible demo or talking to someone about the OpsRamp solution, please give us a call at 844-FLYCAST. That's 844-359-2278. Or you can simply chat with us live on our website at flycastpartners.com. We'll be happy to chat with you Monday through Friday during normal business hours, or email us at info@flycastpartners.com. David and Bobby, thank you.
Thank you very much, Rich. I really enjoyed it.
All right, and to our audience, have a great weekend and stay safe out there. And until next time.